Good evening and welcome to the Monday, January 25th Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On Monday, January 18th, this board took action and appointed Ms. Kimberly Queenan as selectman to take over Mr. Pinchiero's spot. So tonight, the first thing we have is the swearing in of Ms. Queenan by our town clerk, tax collector, Ms. Brianne.
All right. Could we just stand?
Sure.
Okay. So if
You
you
can
want to
stand
stand up and raise your right hand.
It'll be official.
Right, it'll be official over there.
Go higher.
All right. Do you, Kimberly Queenan, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on you as selectmen according to the best of your abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire? So help you God. All right. So I'm just going to have you sign this. I will leave it with the board members. They will sign it, and then I'll get you a copy tomorrow, and we'll file it. All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the beginning. And she becomes the second woman to sit on the board.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yep.
Yep.
I was trying to think of that today.
Yeah.
And there was, I think, another lady. I can't think of her name right now, but
To check in.
back in the probably in the 80s. I think she still lives in town. They lived for a time on Masquaw, and then they moved to a new house somewhere in the north.
Thanks, Terry. Have a nice night.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll do some research and see if,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know.
because I had always thought Pat was the only one, but as I recall, she was also a selectman, just one term, I think.
So we have the review and approval of consent items. We have the account payable manifest of January 19th, 2021 in the sum of $55,835.80 and January 26th of 2021 in the sum of $75,064.35. We have a payroll manifest of January 21st, 2021 in the sum of $56,716.49 and January 28th of 2021 in the sum of $59,467.83. We have 7 veterans tax credits. We have a purchase order M-21-02 to paint the Old Town Hall for the sum of $25,000. And we have the tax collector reconciliation for December 2020. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve? We have a motion by Mr. Leary,
Second.
second by Mr. LaSalle's. Any further discussion?
The number for painting town hall, that 25,000 includes the wood repairs and whatnot, as well as the painting.
Okay, great. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's, Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Is there any other business that members would like to add for this evening? Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 PM. The first item of business this evening is the approval of the January 11th and January 18th meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? And if so, are there any comments? Changes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Lynch. Any discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Abstain.
I am an aye. Motion carries 401. Next item is Captain Scotty Mobile Command Vehicle Grant Application. Mr. Brown.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe we have Captain Scotty online with us. And he's approached me asking permission to talk to the board about applying for a grant for a mobile command vehicle. And this vehicle, this funding, he'll explain to you, if we're awarded the grant, is 100% funded. So I thought it was a very interesting proposal, and I've asked Captain Scotty to be here this evening to talk to you more in detail about what this command vehicle would look like, what it would be used for, and answering the questions that you would have. Captain Scotty, are you here?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
We can. Welcome.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. So, obviously, I'm applying for the 2021 Homeland Security Grant through the state Homeland Security and Emergency Management Department. And when reviewing the equipment list this year, the chief and I thought this was a good opportunity for us to get a piece of equipment that would normally be very cost prohibitive to us. It would have to be put forward as a warrant article, as it's a very large piece of equipment price-wise. When I started pricing these mobile command vehicles out, they can get very costly. The sky's the limit with what you can put in these things. And I kind of got sticker shock the first one I saw, so I ended up toning it down and getting it to a more realistic and palatable number for the grant purposes for the state, because they're reviewing these. They're competitive grants. Mine's not going to be the only one going forward, as long as you guys give me the blessing. And so this particular vehicle is basically a mobile office with 5 workstations. It has a all-band channel radio, so it allows for what we call in our line of work the unified command. So it allows police, fire, state, local officials to work together. And it has a variety of applications that it can be used for. If we had some sort of mass casualty event at, God forbid, a school or Spooky World or something like that, we could roll this out, and it would allow for a more organized and more efficient unified command in getting resources dispatched to where they need to be, and kind of rectifying and dealing with the situation in a more timely and efficient manner. And in doing this project, I had to make it a regional type project. So I tied in some other agencies and partnered with some of them and garnered letters of support. So I ended up tying in with Londonderry, Merrimack, Hudson, Pelham, and Manchester, and Derry. So this vehicle would be accessible to them if they ever were to have some type of major incident. On the town side, it would be good for us to have in other ways as well, outside of major horrible events. It could be used for things such as car crashes. If we had some type of crime scene, or God forbid there's a house fire or something of that nature, police and fire would both have access to this mobile command vehicle. And in speaking with Chief Raitzel, we kind of went over all the long-term costs going forward with it. I reached out to Derry PD, and they have one of these. They've had one since 2005. And what was comforting to hear is that they have a mechanic on hand with the town of Derry that can work on these vehicles. And come to find out, and talking with Chief Raitzel, they have a mechanic. Actually, they have 2 on staff that would be able to work on this vehicle, which would save us a lot of money in maintenance. And then the other thing is, the most expensive thing that Derry has had to put into this vehicle was tires in the entire time they've had it, because it doesn't get used all the time. It's not like a large fire apparatus that goes out regularly or whatnot. It stays inside most of the time. So with that, I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, but if you folks have any questions, please.
Well, thank you. I think it's a great grant to go for, since it's 100% funded. It won't cost the town anything. From a communications standpoint, will it tie back into the new telecommunications system that we're putting in town right now?
That would be a question for Mr. Brunel, because I believe he's the one who spoke with the distributor, or the company I got the quote from, and he communicated directly with them. But Mr. Brunel would be helping me out with the radio portion of it. So I would imagine it would be, but I can't speak to it directly.
Mr. Chair, I can confirm, yeah, it will be interoperable with our system plus the agencies that we have enlisted. So it'll be fully functional.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. At no additional cost, it would be part of the grant?
Yes, that's actually, they have a slot of money that is set aside within that quote for radios for the unit, and there's a variety of different ways where we can set it up. So if we're awarded the grant, that would be the time we would sit down. John and I would probably sit down with him and kind of figure that part out.
Okay, thank you. Do you know what the timing of the grant is?
We should hear sometime in April. I have to have this turned in fairly soon, and then we'll hear sometime, I think, in April or May, they said. They have a meeting in about a month to where I'll be given the opportunity to speak on behalf of the grant when they go through the applications, and then the final decision will be made later on in the spring.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody have any questions of Captain Scotty?
I do. Captain, what is the make and model, or what is the makeup of this vehicle?
So the spec sheet for the vehicle, I sent it out. You should have a copy of it. So bear with me.
Top of the tree?
It's a Freightliner.
Okay.
So it's a 20-inch walk-in van.
It's an MT-55, it shows.
Cummins engine.
Just wanted to ask the question. Thank you. I found it now.
No, not a problem.
Captain Scotty, you mentioned that this is a competitive grant. How does that work? And is this over the state of New Hampshire or what?
So yes, sir. It's through the entire state of New Hampshire. Any law enforcement or any municipality can put in for a grant, but the equipment list is extremely restrictive. So this particular grant, because it's a Homeland Security grant, has to have a nexus to either terrorism or some type of awful event. You have to be able to tie it to something like that could be used for that. So in this circumstance, it's being tied in for Spooky World or some type of mass casualty event at a school.
I could see our closeness to the airport is an airplane crash would be a possibility. Do you have an estimate of the annual cost it'll be for us to keep this, and are those costs going to be shared with the adjoining municipalities?
So when I spoke with Captain Fioli over at Derry PD, he couldn't give me an actual estimated cost per year. He said it was so low that he doesn't have a budget number for it, because it sits around most of the time. It doesn't get used all that often. So I don't have an overall cost for annual maintenance. The only thing I do know is that, we would have to spend money on whatever oil goes into changing the oil in the car or the vehicle. And any minor repairs that go into it from wear and tear and use, but where it's not being used that often, those are going to be few and far between. As for cost sharing, I haven't discussed that with some of the other partners that they supplied letters of support. So they said with our mutual aid agreement, they would be willing, they'd give us a letter of support and say, yep, but they're only going to use it in a rare instance. So I don't have an answer for you on that as far as the cost sharing goes. I haven't broached that subject with the airport yet, because we are only 6 miles away from the airport, and I'm sure that I've spoken with them a few times, with my counterparts up at the airport, and they're very interested, should we get awarded this grant, that they'd be very interested in adding that asset in our response up to the airport should there be some type of incident. So as far as putting in for it, are pitching in for any type of cost. I haven't broached the topic with them, but I can.
Where will it be housed?
In speaking with Chief Freitzel, we went through the dimensions of it last week, and he said that it would fit at the old fire station. He said there's room in there, and based on the dimensions that I gave him, it should fit in there fine.
Will this eliminate the need for a new police station?
Sadly, no. Although it would be pretty funny to stuff us all in there, wouldn't it?
Well, those doors 11 feet tall at the fire station, Cap?
No, they're 12 foot.
12 foot, so yeah, it'll fit, not by much, but.
Well, some of these incident commands are not as high as that. They're only 10 feet, 11 feet. This is not a huge vehicle. Unlike the city of Manchester or something like that. It's all good.
So do we have any other questions of Captain Scotty?
So, okay, so. Captain Scotty left some paperwork here.
I have to pick up at dispatch.
Yeah.
Yep, I banged the window, nobody
it's-
was there, so. I will grab that before we depart this evening.
Do you have somebody qualified to drive this thing if it comes through?
You don't need to see.
This is only a 20 foot, 26,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. So I don't believe you need a CDL, but I would look into it further. So it would involve some training anyway, because it is much different than the Tahoes that we have. I mean, don't get me wrong, those Tahoes are huge, but nowhere near the size of this thing. So it would require some driver training and teaching people how to drive it, and because we don't want to be driving that and crashing it, that's for sure.
Probably the size of a camper.
I've seen these, the camper style. The Freightliner's gone into that.
Single axle rear on the correct, right, Scotty?
Let me take a look at the spec sheet. Front axle, says drop single front axle.
There it is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, single rear axle.
What different than a big box truck?
This
Yeah,
would
pretty much.
Be like the state police crime lab type thing.
That's what
Yes, essentially, yeah.
Then we get some of the stuff out of the town hall. The police station make more space. Be a crime lab.
Do we have any other comments or questions?
Nor do we have anything to lose if it's not gonna cost us anything.
It's very much worth going after.
For it.
And storage, that's it.
I think the being adjacent to the airport is really a game changer for the justification for something like this. I mean, heaven forbid, that something happens, but there's a lot of planes that fly over town.
Yep.
And whereas he's got Londonderry on board, and the airport's technically in Londonderry,
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah.
And Manchester, so.
It's definitely good for the region.
Does it go to Hudson?
What about the insurance? Does the town have an umbrella, or I don't know if there's a cost with this?
Yeah, we would add it to our insurance. Typically, when you add a new vehicle, we really, because we have a group, big policy, it will increase, but we don't see any dramatic increase.
And then plowing, right, has to be done in front of that fire station, the old fire station now, right?
Yeah, we're plowing now.
Okay.
Does it come with a plow?
Does it come?
Flamethrower.
And a wing?
We just put an antique fire truck in there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's temporarily. That's so
That's
Manchester
temporary.
finds space. Gee.
Captain Scotty, at this point, for you to be able to submit the grant application, do you need the board to vote in support of this and be on record? You need documentation in the minutes, or at this point in time,
I'm sure that would absolutely help. I know for certain I need the signature of the chairman on the paperwork, and then I'll get Karen White's signature in the next coming days, and then obviously my signature. And just to put something else out there too, in terms of well, there's two things. Mr. LaSalle, you mentioned the airport. We're actually on the response tier for the airport.
Yep.
And so if we were to be awarded this vehicle, we're always invited to the triennial exercise that takes place up there. They do an aircraft exercise. Should there be some type of crash, it's just a training exercise. And they do it once every 3 years. This vehicle would be a part of that because they don't have access to that type of equipment up there. So this would be a chance for us to help other departments around here out when we usually are the ones asking for some help from larger places. So that's always something, I think something to be proud of there. And then the other thing is timeline-wise. So if we're awarded the grant and when we find out, from when I place the order, I think time to delivery is almost a year for this thing. It's pretty far out. It's in the paperwork, I believe. Yeah, delivery terms 300 days. So we wouldn't see this for quite some time. So
I'm surprised the airport doesn't have some sort of command vehicle like this.
Londonderry has a police have something. Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong. London police has something similar to, right?
they do not. The only department around here, or departments around here that do, are Derry PD, which is for the Southern New Hampshire special, the SWAT team, Special Operations Unit, and then Manchester Fire.
Okay.
They're the only ones around here that have access to this type of equipment.
Okay. Well, let's go for it.
What would you like from us?
We need a motion to approve filing for the grant.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Larry,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Captain Scotty, thank you for all your efforts in searching for these grants. You and Chief Sergeant do a fantastic job trying to find different ways for us to offset costs in town and different things we can go for. So it's greatly appreciated.
No, thank you guys very much, and thank you for having me here tonight.
No problem. The chief is on there too, so he's probably watching you.
Yeah, he probably is. Probably got a camera in my house
In
somewhere.
the shadows.
His report card for his presentation.
I just want to make sure you get the 2 frames for the side mount plow and the front mount plow as well. Okay, because we're trying to utilize our equipment thriftfully.
Thank you, Captain Scotty. Have a great night.
Thank you as well.
It'll look good on it.
Next item is Jason Brennan, Trail Crew State Forest. Mr. Brown.
And Mr. Brennan reached out to me and asked if he could meet with the Board of Selectmen to discuss a couple of issues. One, he's working with a group of citizens to start a new effort, which wouldn't, as I understand, wouldn't be part of the town, but definitely work in coordination with various town departments. The effort would be to create a trail crew, and that will explain to you what he believes the mission of this group would be for. And also, once he covers that, I think he's going to probably have a discussion with the board as well about the recent closure of a trail called Calvin's Loop and 2 bridges, I believe, at the state forest, which I think some of the residents here in town that have used those trails were a little bit shocked to one day see it posted that it was closed. So with that, I would ask Jason Brennan. He's sharing the screen. And of course, he's got some good visuals for us.
Welcome, Jay.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to try not to take up much of your time tonight. Thank you very much for having us. Again, my name is Jason Brennan, and also on the phone is Andy Ruggles. And I believe Rob Terry is also on the phone as well, all Litchfield citizens, all involved with this trail crew concept. We put together a brief presentation for you. It's going to be in 2 parts. We're going to tell you a little bit about the idea of this trail crew thing, and then we'll also talk to you a little bit about the Litchfield State Forest, as Troy mentioned. All right, so in regarding the Litchfield Trail Crew, this has been an idea that we've been thinking about for a little while now. And the long and the short of it is that citizens in town are looking for more passive recreational opportunities, and there's an increasing number of citizens using trails in town. And I think a lot of you have seen it, specifically with COVID. You drive by the Litchfield State Forest, and there's a lot of cars there, and there's a lot of people using these trail systems that weren't necessarily using them before. Via social media, a lot of citizens took interest and wanted to help out. So a bunch of folks, including myself, Andy Ruggles, Jillian Terry, Rob Terry, came up with the concept of forming a trail group to help maintain, build, and promote responsible use of trails in Litchfield. So we talked to a few town boards, including the Conservation Commission. We researched other trail groups in other towns. We engaged citizens, and we decided to, we were originally thinking that this trail group would fall underneath the Conservation Commission. But after talking with Londonderry and seeing how other the towns have them set up, we decided to start it up as a separate entity, and that allows us to do a couple of different things. Number one, trails aren't only on conservation land, they're on town land, conservation, state land, as well as private land. And in addition, if we wanted to ever raise funds, we'd be able to do that. So we kind of took the concept that the Londonderry Trailways has adopted, and that's the way that we kind of formed this group. So we cast the net out there. Once we came up with the idea, we kept casting that out there and asked via social media folks from town that might be interested joining the Litchfield Trail Crew. And within a day, we got about 35 people that signed up. These 35 people fall into 3 different buckets, and we kind of broke it down into teams. Team Think Tank are the people that are the organizers, like Andy Ruggles is on the phone, and there's 12 of us that are in Team Think Tank. Team Trail Crew are just a group of people that are willing to go out and help maintain the trails. And Team Behind the Scenes are folks that don't want to go up and help maintain the trails, but might have a special skill, like they might be able to make signs or something like that. So all in all, we've got 35 folks that are involved. We had our first meeting, so this has been evolving over the last few months, but we had our first meeting a few weeks ago, and we came up with a mission statement, and I'll just quickly read it. So our thinking is that the Litchfield Trail Crew is an independent group of volunteers who are dedicated to working with town, state, private land managers to maintain and improve existing trails, as well as to create new trails within Litchfield. This group is definitely comprised of volunteers with diverse interests, including walkers, runners, hikers, bicyclists, photographers, who all work together to improve passive outdoor recreational opportunities for the citizens of all ages. So that's really our mission. We just started to get this group together. We're hoping that it takes hold, and we're hoping that we can work with various different town departments to help maintain the trails that we have and potentially improve them going forward. So one of the first topics, again, that was the first thing. So the second thing we wanted to talk about is the recent closures in the Litchfield State Forest. It's kind of ironic that the first meeting that we have was just a few days after Litchfield State, a couple of trails got shut down in the Litchfield State Forest, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. To give you a little bit of an understanding, I'm betting some of you don't really know this, but the Litchfield State Forest is that big green blob that you see in the middle of the screen. It encompasses 346 acres, essentially right in the middle of Litchfield. And you can see Town Hall right next to the Litchfield State Forest. So about 346 acres. In addition to that, there are 7 town properties that are either managed by the Board of Selectmen, that are owned by the town, or the Conservation Commission, that abut the Litchfield State Forest. And those equate to an additional 237 acres of land. So when we're thinking about the state forest, we're not only thinking about the state forest, but there's also trails just outside the state forest on town properties. That purple number 8 that you see there is one piece of property that is owned by the Lynch family. And that happens to be a piece of property that is completely landlocked. And Kevin's not going to get on that property unless he builds a bridge to get there or takes a hovercraft and lands in there with a hot air balloon or something. So he's completely landlocked, unfortunately. If you zoom out a little bit and just kind of take a look at where the Litchfield State Forest is in comparison with other conservation land, this black line that you see going down the middle of the screen, that's actually the town line between Londonderry and Litchfield. Abutting the Litchfield State Forest and surrounding properties is an additional 1,000 acres plus of land that is in conservation within the town of Londonderry. And on that 1,000 acres of land are easily over 20 miles of trail system. They have an incredible trail system over there. They have Londonderry Trailways and their Conservation Commission that work together to maintain those trails. Kind of hard to see, but you see those red squiggly lines all in there? Those are all different trails that connect neighborhoods and also connect over to the Litchfield State Forest. So that's kind of gives you a big picture view of the area. Recently, this is within the past couple of weeks, a review of state forest land by the state resulted in the closure of a few different trails. The two main trails that were closed include the long-standing Calvin Loop that you see right here, the one in blue, and a recently built rogue trail that we know is rogue, that's about a half a mile long, that's called the Twin Bridges Trail. In addition, they closed down a few other smaller sections of trails, but the long and the short of it is what you see on the left side of the screen is the trail system as of a few months ago. What you see on the right side of the screen is the official trail system now. These trail closures have resulted in a 42% reduction in multi-use recreational trails on this piece of property right here. We know that this Twin Bridges Trail, we don't know who it was built by. We know that this Twin Bridges Trail was built rogue, and we agree that that trail probably should be, eliminated essentially. But this Calvin Loop Trail has actually been around a while. So our focus really is on the Calvin Loop, which is a long-standing trail. I have been hiking in these woods for over 20 years. I live very close to the Litchfield State Forest. I have been hiking in the Litchfield State Forest no less than probably 300 times. I'm in there constantly and know the trails in the forest extremely well, and that Calvin Loop has been there a while. So what's ironic about the whole situation is when the state shut down Calvin Loop, there are two entrances to Calvin Loop. They didn't just gate it off and put down a couple of trees. They actually cut down 152 trees along this entire section of Calvin Loop. We're not talking about 152 little saplings. They cut down big trees, which is it's almost sickening when you go in there, all the trees that were just decimated to close the Calvin Loop. And what's ironic is when folks build trails, they're really not even cutting any trees, yet there's 152 trees that were actually cut down to close it. There's a picture of one, there's a picture of another, so these are kind of scattered all over the place. And there's what it looks like at the entrance to the trail and where they cut it down. So the reasons, Rob Terry, who's in the group, talked to the state and discussed with the state the reasons for the closure. And these bullet items that you see on here are the main reasons why the state closed down Calvin Loop and that rogue trail. Firstly, the state is buckling down on illegal trail building, which definitely that rogue trail falls into. The state noted that there are a few improper wetlands crossings. There are 2 bridges on this rogue trail, and there is 1 small bridge on the Calvin Loop. The state said there could be an impact to wildlife, and the state also mentioned that there's improper signage and trail markings on the Calvin Loop. And the one thing that we want to make sure that we're clear tonight is that our focus as a trail group is not on this rogue trail over here, but it's actually on the Calvin Loop. And our contention is that the Calvin Loop has been a trail for many years, and that the impact, according to the state mapping trail tool that I'll talk about in a second, really isn't that severe. So if you take a look at the map that you see on the screen, and you kind of see these dark brown areas and light brown areas and greenish and then and bluish areas, the state has a trail impact mapping tool. And what they want is when trails are built or they're maintained, they don't want trails to go through these high impact areas. And if you take a look at Calvin Loop and you overlay the information from the state, Calvin Loop on top of the state's information, you can see that the Calvin Loop goes through an area that has moderate impact to these high potential impact areas. There's a small section here that clips through a higher impact area, but a lot of this other part of the Calvin Loop does not impact those high areas. And so that's one of our contentions. So give you a little quick tour of the Calvin Loop, because I'm sure many of you have not been on there, but it's a very nice trail. I'm going to give you a little tour of it going from west to east. This is what the trail system looks like. These are recent photos as of a couple of days ago. That's the area where it's kind of close to a wetland. But as you kind of go through here, it's just a really nice, well-developed upland trail that really does not, in our opinion, does not have much impact. Kind of see where we're going through here. This is the area where there was a little bridge that the state went through, and there were some logs going over a little stream, and the state came through and dismantled all the logs and pushed them into other locations. That gives you a little bit of a understanding of what's going on there. So to build a trail in the state forest and to do it above board, you need to get a special use permit. Kind of funny, if you take a look at the wording here, the special use permit is used for building trails, and it's also used to, I guess, have birthday parties on state land. But if you focus on the yellow wording, the permit shall be required for any special use that includes but is not limited to trail maintenance or cutting of vegetation for scenic views. So that's how you actually have to go through. If you want to build a trail on state property, you need to get a special use permit. So we are looking at filing for a special use permit to see if the state will consider letting us reopen the Calvin Loop. We want to make sure that we work directly with the state to ensure and prove, from both sides, that no sensitive areas are encroached. We want to make sure that we bring the trail up to code in regards to that one bridge crossing, for example, and to make sure that there's proper signage. And we want to make sure that we're not only doing this, but we want to make sure that we request with the state that we be part of their trail volunteer and steward program, so that we can make sure that we maintain this trail going forward. So the long and the short of it is we're looking to file for the special use permit and try to follow all of the state's guidelines to see if if they will consider letting us reopen the Calvin Loop. So what are we looking for from the town? So one thing that we would like to consider and include in the package, if you think it's acceptable, is potentially letters of support from the Board of Selectmen, from Conservation and Recreation regarding this. Potentially, again, after you do your research on it and hear all sides of the story, maybe potentially get support from our state representatives, as well as the citizens of Litchfield. And then we'll do the homework to submit a permit application for consideration by the state. In closing, the Litchfield State Forest provides a great passive recreational access to all Litchfield citizens that is right off the bike path. There are miles of trails in there. It is a resource that has not been used really until lately, but it is a tremendous resource for the town. We feel that we can work with the state to balance forest management activities within the forest, balance that with passive, responsible recreational opportunities. The Calvin Loop, closing the Calvin Loop, in my opinion, was a big hit to the state forest. The Calvin Loop, again, in my opinion, is that #1 trail in the state forest. If you're a kid going in there, a family going in there to ride your bikes with your kids, you're going to ride it on the Calvin Loop and you're going to ride it around Bear Cub Run and do a nice 1 or 2 mile loop and come out of the forest. Reopening allows it a true loop trail, and it's great for kids and folks of all ages. We feel that the impact of the Calvin Loop on the environment is minimal, and I think that the tool that's provided by the state kind of enforces that. And we don't want the Litchfield State Forest to just be a one-way path into Londonderry. With no other trails, you're making a 1.6 mile jaunt to Londonderry to use their trails and making a 1.6 mile jaunt on the way back. That's what I have for right now. I don't know if Andy Ruggles or Rob Terry want to add anything, but that concludes my presentation.
Yeah, no, Jason, this is Rob Terry. Thank you. This was an excellent presentation here. I just want to echo your thoughts there as far as support from the board and the rest of the town trying to move forward with this. As an avid hiker and mountain biker, this is a significant hit to, I'll just say, Litchfield as a whole, right? So Londonderry has a very well-maintained and established trail system, and I think we could learn a lot from how they're kind of making that happen.
Yeah, I agree. Jason, you did a great job covering this. It was definitely devastating having that trail closed. I understand the rogue trail. That made a lot of sense. I don't even know where it came from. But Calvin's Loop it's one of the best trails in there. And it's like Jason said, it's been around for years. It's just really unfortunate that it got taken away. And just hopefully we can get your support and we can get, recreation and conservation to support us in trying to get at least Calvin Loop reopened, going through the proper channels and making it legit so it can't be taken away again. That's all.
Troy, that concludes the presentation.
Okay, thank you everyone for that thorough presentation.
Rich.
Members, do we have any comments, clarifications,
Richard's got his hand up.
questions? Oh, Rich is first.
Jason, I just want to congratulate you folks for all of this. And I'm of the belief that the more a trail is used, the better off it is, because people enjoy it and take advantage of it. I'm just wondering, the state just came in and just closed this, and
No communication.
what was there any sort of any sort of warning or anything, or did they just come in and do it?
I'll let Rob take that one because he did talk to the state about this.
Yeah, so I spoke to Billy Cornelius. He's the forester for Litchfield State Forest, and cut to the chase, yes, there was a little bit of a warning that it was going to occur. I don't want to, in this forum, get into all the details, but there is somebody from the town that had conversations with Billy, expressed concerns, and ultimately led to the closure of not only the road trail, but basically collateral damage Calvin Loop.
All right, well, if there's anything at all that I can do to help with this effort, just let me know. I'd be happy to get involved any way I can as a state rep.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
I'd like to say something with that. Hi, I'm the Lynch guy. I have his own piece of land on the corner there that I'm not too worried about. State has no control over that until I do something right. Regarding this, okay, the state just came in and did it. No communication at all to the town, which I think should have been. I would like your rep to at least have the state for the forester make contact with our town administrator and see if he can give us his insight as to why they're out there and what brought this up. I got an idea, but I think it's important. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, I grew up here. A lot of those cart trails out there were all logging roads back in the day. Am I correct in saying that? I know there's a few new ones you guys have, but a lot of them are the old logging roads.
Agree. I don't know what I tried to do the research on the Calvin Loop. It's been there a long time ever since I've been going to that part of the state forest. It's been there. I couldn't tell you if that was a logging trail or not back in the day, but.
It was. I drove it.
Okay.
With a
There you go.
75
Your beer bottles.
all the way through.
All right.
But I'm just saying, okay, I think if state wants to come in and be a little aggressive like that, which is odd, with the state being aggressive without communication, cutting down that many trees just to be blocking it. What's the purpose of? Is there wetlands? Was there any talk about a vernal pool or anything of that nature? So that's why I like.
Excuse me, Mr. Lynch. There was one small stream crossing that I think probably triggered it the most. Somebody had taken logs and kind of blocked it up. But I, also think it's a matter of, obviously they're not concerned about wildlife and preserving nature with the way that they went in there and cut 152 trees down to block it. It was more, it seems to me that there was more of a different reason that they wanted to shut down. It was almost like oh, well, we didn't approve this, so we're going to make a statement here. That's just my opinion.
There's more out there that we need to find out.
We shouldn't be able to get away with that. I
No.
mean, that's, to go in and kill trees just in spite, to me, that's defeating the whole purpose of why there is a Trails Bureau. So, I can't stand like that.
Chairman Weber,
Yes,
may I speak? This is Joan McKibben from the Conservation Commission.
of course. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you. I have been in contact with Billy Cornelius as well, and I have a January 22nd memo that lists 10 items of why the trail was closed. I also have the, what he mentioned, the publication Wildlife Trails for Wildlife and People, which I have forwarded to Mr. Terry today, the listing of the 10 items. And I also forwarded to Troy. So there are 10 items. They didn't just come in and do this for spite, Rich. There are reasons that they did this. And I will be sharing it with the rest of the board tomorrow. Thank you.
Question, Joan. Were you involved in any communication with him prior to this happening?
No, I wasn't. And the trails, those old trails some of them are motorcycle trails. The very narrow ones are from years ago, probably 40, 50 years ago, motorcycle trails. But they had, and that's why some of them are cut down the way they are. And I'm sure probably snowmobile trails too from the 60s. But there are good reasons why they did what they did. And I hopefully at our conservation meeting, the forester will be able to speak.
Have they gone before you and talked at all to your committee?
No, and I wouldn't expect them to. It's state land that they manage the land. It's state property.
Okay, thank you.
So, Joan, I guess this is Rob Terry. I guess, is that a true statement? I believe a member of that committee has been in direct conversation with the state and expressed their concerns.
I got an email from the forester today in that regard, and he mentioned that if there are problems on the state forest, he would want to know about it, as well as if there were problems on the town property, that they would let us know.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm guessing, is this individual authorized by the town to communicate with the state and provide the town's best interest?
I don't quite understand your question.
So I'll get straight to the point. There was an individual on the committee that has been in conversations with the state and stated that they did not agree with that trail, both of them, and that they should be shut down. Does
I don't
that
know whether
individual speak for the town?
I don't know if he agreed with the trail or not. I don't know. I got a memo from the forester today that it was not due to the individual saying that. The forester was out there doing a survey for logging, which they will be doing in the future, and came across, I mean, they're out there, it's their property, they're out there managing it. And I don't think that one person on the Conservation Commission should be accused of doing something that he didn't do. End of discussion.
Okay.
So let us
Okay,
get
thank
the
you.
10 points sent to the whole board tomorrow, and we can take a look at it. And Troy, if you could reach out, that'd be great. And also get Rich engaged from a state rep standpoint. Might be able to, and Ralph might be able to get a little bit further, but it sounds like this board supports.
We support the trail
Litchfield.
system out there the way, if they're gonna go in and make changes, okay, or say they don't like something that somebody had done that they didn't know. We're willing, if the lots happening now with Jason doing what he's doing, at least we got a group of people that wanna work to make that change more palatable.
And what I feel like, if we do have a group working directly with the state, there'll be a communication going back and forth. So things like this wouldn't happen unnoticed.
In the old days, what they used to do is take the Boy Scouts and send us out there to clear all the trails in the state forest and the private land, because everybody didn't care. Okay, because that's where all the brush fires were. The biggest brush fire we have is the north end, is on the Londonderry line, where we had to bring everybody up through there. We didn't do too well to the water cycle, but we put the fire out.
The thing that you have to remember is the habitat fragmentation to the north, and the state isn't managing this for recreation. It's managing it for forestry and habitat.
Aha,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Habitat.
So Joan, I'm sitting here and I hear what you're saying. I understand totally.
Right.
But I can't, in my own mind, justify cutting down trees
Without communicating.
to block the trail. I just can't wrap my head around that.
I don't know, what the reason that the extent of the tree cutting, I don't know the reason for that. Probably so the trail will be reopened, but now to reopen that trail is going to be more destructive. So I don't know. You have to talk to the forester about that.
Didn't you say you counted the trees they cut down?
There was 152 trees that were cut down on just the Calvin Loop alone.
I can't.
The number of trees on that road trail, I don't know, but I'm assuming it's, close to the same amount.
I just can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll hear from the forester.
I just want to add one more thing from the Lynch side over here, that little number 8, it's on the chart that Jason brought up. There was a subdivision done on Heron, down off there for that property. I attended the hearing. The planning board initially, they landlocked that piece of land from us, and they're not supposed to.
That's
So
illegal.
That's illegal. My father at the time decided not to pursue it, but when we did the Heron Drive extension, they get into vernal pools and everything else, but they got the 2 lots, and I got up and I spoke, and the exact words from one of the people on the board, too bad. Okay, my father couldn't make it to that meeting, or my mother. So just the planning board point of it at the time, okay? The board has changed, things are getting a little better, but you just don't landlock. Bobby knows this and his family. It's happened for years back in the time, so just want to bring it up. Thank you.
I just have a
Little
question,
history.
just for clarification for myself. You said that the land was owned by the state. Is that Fish and Game? I don't know.
No, State Forestry Service.
State Forestry.
Forestry Service,
So
yeah.
those 10 reasons the trail was closed, I just don't think we're hearing their side of it, unless those 10 reasons are from whoever did that sign.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
I don't know.
That's what I'm asking them.
We're asking.
I agree. This is Jason Brennan. I agree with that. We need to determine take a look at those 10 reasons, determine what really applies to the road trail and what applies to Calvin Loop, and then address it. Because we know for a fact that The rogue trail that is in there goes through a highly sensitive area that is on the state's mapping system. But we feel that the Calvin Loop has a much smaller impact.
But they may,
To take a look at those and just take it one by one in relation to the Calvin Loop.
I agree. I think that's a good way of attacking it.
It needs to be solved. There's some better communication before it happens again. Because it's Litchfield, still state forest, but purpose of it is trails. And it's hunting is allowed out there as well. Okay, they can't stop that. Okay, at least I have it on my piece. They're allowed to hunt. But I'm just saying, okay?
I think Kim brings up a very good point. We need to hear from them and find out exactly why they did what they did.
And I think once this document is shared, we'll get their insight of what they were thinking.
They cut down other logs.
Maybe in the future with this committee or whatever, that it'll open up a line of communication so that maybe we can head off something like this.
Yep.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Right.
So
That's the
Troy,
first-
if you could draft a letter in support from the board so that
Appreciate it, Troy.
Litchfield Trail Crew could have it to go with their permit, that'd be fantastic.
And Jason, just as a point of view, there are probably other groups like the Boy Scouts who like to do land clearing to practice with their axe and saws. Okay? And it helps, for anything.
Well, I think there was an Eagle Scout project that somebody got a hold of me a couple of weeks ago, and I called a guy who used to live in town that lives in Pennsylvania, and I think there was an Eagle Scout project out there somewhere, but I don't know which. It could have been the road trail. I'm not sure. But according to the leaders of the Scouts, they went through all the paperwork and everything to get it approved. So I don't think it was the road trail that was the Eagle Scout project. But who knows? But I am really interested in having
Both sides.
Joan copy us on this communication, because I just
We should have been communicated on this already as a board.
Yeah.
That's all.
I would agree with that. We should have been in the loop.
Sure, we should have been the whole loop.
what are we approving? Are we approving the Litchfield Trail Crew?
Do we need a
Or-
motion for this?
Not sure what you're saying, you're showing support for.
They asked for a letter of support for the creation.
I
Of the
agree.
Trail Crew.
Trail
Yeah,
Crew.
yeah,
Trail
right.
Crew?
A letter of support.
Okay.
Support that, and then also a letter. I think they were asking for a letter to go with the permit when they submitted the whole thing, showing the support of Board of Selectmen, Conservation, Recreation.
I would just make that a motion.
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Larry. Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
Could you repeat the motion, please?
You'll get it in the minutes.
The motion was to support the creation of the Litchfield Trail Crew.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to make a final statement. Our goal here on the Calvin Loop really is to work directly with the state to determine what the deficiencies are with that trail, determine if there are really any impacts on the environment or species, and then put forth if there are none, then put forth a permit to see if we can get that trail reopened and then managed in the future in a responsible manner. That's really our main goal here.
I think that's a fantastic goal.
Let us know if we can help you in any other way.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yes,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night. Thank you for all your efforts. Greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.
Okay, take care.
The next item is the Pinecrest Road Sidewalk Grant Application. Mr. Brown.
few weeks ago, I was contacted by our town planner, the executive director of the National Regional Planning Commission, Jay Mankara. And his purpose of reaching out to me was to make me aware that there are federal grant funds available that would fund alternative transportation projects. And because Jay's been working with the planning board and they were updating certain sections of our master plan, and with the survey that the planning board did this summer, they received a lot of input from residents that showed interest in constructing a sidewalk bike path from Albuquerque down to 3A. And I know that there's a section of sidewalk portion of Pinecrest, which, was constructed. I don't know if that meets, the proper standards and everything of today's methods. But essentially what we would be doing is putting together an application and seeking, I believe it's planning assistance funds to look into this project a little bit more. I believe Jay is online here, and he is, I see him. And I'd like to have Jay provide some input to this, as he's been involved in these types of projects and very familiar with this project because it's been discussed many times in this town. So Jay, you want to?
Welcome, Jay. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know if it's a good segue from the last conversation or not, but I think as Troy mentioned, this is a concept that's been talked about for some time. Just about a year ago, we completed the transportation section of the master plan. And this was one of the key recommendations that came out of that. I think, obviously the main pedestrian way right now in town is a multi-use path along Albuquerque. And that connects together. Of course, we heard the state forest, the town hall complex, Darrell Pond, the high school. And it really is a major route that people use. We have a small section of sidewalk now, a little bit on 3A and Pinecrest that connects the middle school and Griffin Memorial. And what this would do is connect all the schools in Litchfield to the multi-use path. And so it would be truly a major recreational asset, but also, it's a safe route to schools, connects multiple neighborhoods. We certainly thought it was a great project when we were doing the master plan. Last fall, when now we're updating the community facility section, and of course, the CIP update happened last fall as well. So as a part of that, we did a survey on community needs, community facilities. And although we did not ask a question about this, there were a large number of comments that came in when we asked people what they were looking to see, what kind of improvements. This one really jumped out. So a couple of weeks ago, the DOT announced a new round of what's called TAP funding, Transportation Alternatives Program funding. So these are competitive grants. They're federal dollars, and they pay for sidewalks, bike paths, multi-use trails, anything that serves non-motorized transportation. So they are 80% federal. There is a 20% local match. So, that is a bit of a caveat. And the minimum project size is 400,000. So that'd be 320 in federal funds. Maximum project size is 1,250,000. This clearly would be towards the lower end, so I think it fits well. Because it connects schools and existing facilities, I should say these are competitive grants, but I do think it would be a competitive project. And so step one is there is a letter of interest that is due February 5th. If you don't get your letter of interest in, you can't move forward to the full application. The full application, but a letter of interest, of course, doesn't commit you to go forward either. But again, I think it would really be a competitive project. The full application is not yet available. Last I checked, it's going to eventually be available online. There's going to be about 5.2 million in total funding allocated. So certainly from my perspective, I think this would be a great project. As I said, I think it would be competitive. And if there's interest in moving forward, most likely the way it would work is if the town decided it wanted to move forward, the funds would be available most likely after next town meeting. So not this coming town meeting, but the one after, where we would be able to get into design and hopefully in construction in 2022. That's overall the timing. I'd be happy to answer any questions and also to help out in any way I can, if the board feels it makes sense to move forward.
Thank you, Jay. Board, do we have any questions of Jay?
Approximately how long would the sidewalk be?
How far is it from Albuquerque?
It'll be coming from Underwood all the way up to Albuquerque.
From Underwood, where, okay,
Because the previous, well, it's actually next street up,
to Gibson.
the Gibson. Because Mr. Bertrand put in the sidewalks many years ago. And everybody liked it, so.
It was a rogue sidewalk.
Let it go with that.
I hear the story that it was too.
I'll let it
It
go
was
with
a
that.
rogue sidewalk.
I heard that story.
I protest against rogue sidewalk.
All I know, it was done and
One day it just showed up, right?
We're just gonna cut trees across it now.
Right, Pat? Be careful.
It really was a rogue sidewalk.
Jay, so just with this application, there you go. This application, would it be going for planning and design? Would it be a two-step process, or would the application seek
Probably both.
design and construction funding all be awarded in one grant?
So eligible activities do include design, so planning, design, and construction. So you'd apply for the whole ball of wax at once.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a cost to apply?
No.
We've had nothing to lose.
No, we had the discussion briefly last week.
Mm-hmm.
I would say not here, but.
Okay.
I don't think, personally, with the vehicle traffic and everything else today, it's not like it was back in the day. Even Route 3A is you ride a bike on Route 3A, it's different. Okay? But in the side streets and everything else, getting the kids off and the sidewalks and the whole 9 yards, it makes sense. Like a bike trail or something like that along the side of the road. You can design it like that as well. And if it's on the power line side, which is not a bad side to have it on, because
That's where it is.
GSNH has to come in and trim everything, so this will help the future cost for us users in the future too.
I think it's a good project to go after.
Would there be any taking of land for this?
No, it'd be all in the right of way, right?
It'll all be in the
Yeah,
right of way.
all on the right of way, and it would be asphalt.
Yes.
I mean, the only concern we really have is mailboxes
And even then.
that have to be moved to the other side of the road or.
I did a quick drive-by just to kind of see, and
That-
there's a few mailboxes and a couple utility poles that,
Really, all the
Work with the
mailboxes
engineers
are on the
to-
other street. If you think
Most
about
of
it,
the-
we never allowed people to have a driveway come onto Pinecrest.
well, there's no driveway. That's
Correct.
what I
There's no
noticed.
driveway coming on the Pinecrest, except for the one next to the cemetery, and the other two down downhill. But the sidewalks
Been there
are
for
there.
years.
It looks like there's plenty of room.
When that subdivision was done back in the 70s, okay, there was no driveways onto Pinecrest. Everything had to come off. When they developed further up, okay, let's say into that area, then they got
On
driveways
Albuquerque.
come in, they got them on both sides. But I think we can still get it in between them.
Jay's doing a good job of showing us pictures.
Oh,
See? That's up near the cemetery going.
He's got all that showing.
Yeah, that's the sidewalk that's there, okay.
Yep, that's the lower portion of it.
And that's how it fit, okay? Don't wake anybody up.
Going by the cemetery, waving my family.
Stop. Yeah. I do it. I'm like, hey, buddy. You know, it's all open all the way through, like? Good job, Jay.
yeah.
I think I think
Thank you,
that's John's artwork.
Okay.
So what is the will of the board? Would we like to apply for the grant?
I would make a motion that we apply for the grant.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Larry. Any discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. Have a good evening. Thanks for looking out for us and finding this. Next, we have the petition to intervene with the Pennachuck Utility East, Inc. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I just wanted to place this on the agenda this evening, just to officially state that the towns of Londonderry, Litchfield, Pelham, and Hooksett have joined together. We're sharing legal counsel, and we did file a petition to intervene for the Pennachuck rate increase. So that was prepared and submitted on the deadline of last Friday. Received a copy of it and shared it with the board. And the process will start. I think this coming Wednesday, the PUC will hold a pre-hearing. So the process will start where sides will start to present their preliminary information and ask for questions and information, exchange of information. And I've never gone through this process before, but it'll be interesting to watch it from start to finish. I think the town's in a really good spot where we're able to have a very active citizens here in town that are engaged, but also having 4 communities come together and go to present to the PUC. I think it's going to send a very strong message that the PUC needs to really take a look at this proposed rate increase seriously and make sure that it's justified 100%. I know, Rich, I was not able to attend the online meeting on last week that the citizens organized, and I think you were able to attend. Did that meeting occur?
Yes, it did.
You might want to provide an update on that. Or?
Well, we have quite a number of people from town, including myself, who have petitioned and have been approved as interveners to represent themselves. So I plan to speak at the pre-hearing. I don't know. I know there's at least one other intervener from Litchfield who plans to speak. So do you know if our legal counsel will also be speaking?
I can't say yes for sure, but I'm going to assume they will be speaking.
The other question I have is, do we have a written agreement between the towns as far as cost sharing?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that next, but we do.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine.
And we can, if there's any more questions about this, I can slide right into that.
Slide.
Yeah, definitely.
And Kim, welcome to this.
She's been involved.
So next item is the legal counsel agreement, Pennachuck Utility East rate case. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, so based on input and discussions I had with the board, it was kind of a rush to get all these communities on board. We had to sign agreements before, filing the intervener last Friday. But the agreement, which the law firm had recommended that we divide our costs by a percentage based on our population. So they've come up with an agreed hourly rate. Because we're municipalities, they have a reduced hourly rate. It's $350, no greater than $350 an hour, and then they have associates fees at $260. So somewhere, depending on who's working on the case, is what the hourly rate will be. That hourly rate will be shared between Londonderry will be paying 40%, Hooksett 24%, Litchfield 14%, and Pelham 23%. So you know, I think that, I really think that was a fair and reasonable way to distribute the cost. And I think, again, obviously, having 4 communities involved, we're gonna be able to really accomplish a lot with our limited legal budget on this matter, so.
I'm surprised they're letting us get away with that.
I thank him.
We have 30%. We're by far the largest by customer. We have 30% of the, I know, shh, but never mind. Never mind.
You're on camera.
It's very common in towns and cities that is, everything's per capita. Yeah. So, very pleased with the outcome of this. This all happened very quickly, and I really got to thank the town of Londonderry, Kevin Smith over there. He really took the lead on this and was able to pull it together. And to have the other communities come on board, I didn't know Hooksett had the interest, and I mean, I think we speculated Pelham would. So this is good.
Kevin used to be here.
Kevin was,
I'm
sure he was, I know where he used to live, so I'm sure he was a Pennachuck monthly payer.
He was a Pennachuck, no, he wasn't.
Customer.
He went well.
No?
No, he went well.
Oh, well back then, yeah.
Well, Troy, thank you for communicating that and coordinate that with all the other towns.
Yeah, definitely. Good work, man.
The next is the presentation of the 2020 warrant articles. Mr. Brown.
Let's get one.
So what I wanted to do, I didn't know what else to title this, so it was typically this time of the year, we go through the warrant articles and we identify selectmen, town administrator, or department head that will present the article or provide backup at deliberative session. So that's what I wanted to accomplish here this evening. We ended up with 2 zoning amendments as we were holding placeholders for that, and in fact, they had their public hearing, so there will be 2 proposed amendments. Those will be covered by the planning board. Usually Chairman Croto will present those. The operating budget, article number 4, that operating budget is the budget committee, and that will be presented by the budget committee, most likely Chairman Cutter. Article 5 is a police contract. I have spoken to Chief Sergeant, and where he played a big role in this, bringing this group together with the town and Board of Selectmen. I asked if he'd be comfortable presenting. Sometimes, you know, really don't want the department head of a department that has the union contract presenting, but he was very comfortable, and if the board so wishes, he would present this article at deliberative.
I think that'd be fantastic, and thank you to Chief Sergeant for offering to do that.
Oh, he's right there.
Yes.
Hey, Chief.
It's my privilege and honor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members.
10 words or less.
Greatly appreciate it.
Kevin says you have to do it in 10 words or less.
Well, I still got something to come up later, and I've been trying to think of how I'm going to tone it down, so it might be a late night for us, Mr. Lynch. But no, it would really, truly be my honor to speak on behalf of the dedicated police officers and dispatchers. You know, so I really appreciate the opportunity that Troy presented, and if the board would allow me to, I look forward to it.
With all the efforts you put into it and helping us get that agreement we did, I think it would be great to have you present it.
We will support you supporting it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, I'll say what a great job by all the parties getting together on this.
Yeah.
Minimal impact to the town, but getting the job done. It's absolutely fantastic. Great work, guys. Troy, that's you too.
Thank you. Okay, Article 6, Human Services and Health Agencies. This is,
I took this one last year, so if there's
The tough one.
nobody else who wants to do it, I will be more than happy to do it.
It's entirely up to you.
I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
I'm pleased with that answer.
Article 7 is the road improvements.
Would anybody like that, or should we ask Town Administrator Brown to do that along with our road agent? It's up to,
I don't mind doing that one, I guess.
okay.
Pretty simple.
But I know there's a couple I wouldn't want to do.
Oh, I know. All right.
But there's a couple you wouldn't want me to do.
Same here.
Okay, so Rob,
All right, Bob's gonna do road improvements.
Troy, you'll give me all his crib notes.
yeah, and I just got some preliminary cost estimates today.
Okay, thank you.
Troy will build all the power deck and share it with us. PowerPoint deck and then,
Whatever that is.
yeah, the slide. All right, next is the plow truck purchase. I think since it's, Troy, would you like to take that one with the road agent?
Yeah.
Since you guys have all the background informations on the. Troy and Kevin.
Troy and who?
Kevin Brown.
Kevin Brown. Article 9.
That is.
Property revalue expendable trust fund. Any takers?
That's one of the hardest items to get up there with no cost to the tax impact. Think about it. I'll do it.
Okay.
I've done a property value process. Troy, you can enlighten me on the details, please.
I will.
Okay.
Can you make it in bold letters, though?
Article 10 is the Pennachuck East utility rate increase. Rich, would you like to take that one since you've been our citizen spokesperson, state rep spokesperson, board of selectmen spokesperson?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Rich. Thank you.
What's that?
You
I like you well.
Yeah, so for the record, 2 of the selectmen sitting right here don't have Pennachuck, and we're in full support of this.
Gotta believe it.
So,
Same here.
you don't have Pennachuck?
I don't like what it's doing to our citizens or those hydrants.
Remember, we have
He has a road connection.
The road connection, yeah.
I have the connection, but there's nothing coming into the house at
Like he
all.
said, he has a road connection. He's
Knowing
not
Kevin-
getting charged.
Knowing him, he drilled into it and put a garden hose out.
we're all taxpayers and
Yep,
fire hydrants.
that's
That's it, part of it. So everybody could be an intervener
Everyone in
in
this
town.
town has.
I have an interest because I got a hydrant that, oh geez. 2 houses within 200, so
don't-
within the hydrant range.
We don't have a hydrant or water
No.
in front of our houses.
Nothing.
No.
Closest one to mine is in Hudson, probably a quarter of a mile away. So Article 11 is the fire station bond proceeds, which is kind of a housekeeping article.
Yeah, it's just.
I think the next 2 are really housekeeping, and if you want, I'll do those.
I would appreciate it.
Okay.
And I will just let you know, when I got some final input on our warrant articles, and it was pointed out to me by moderator Byron, the Article 11, Article 12 did not have the statement about estimated tax rate impact 0.
That was a good catch.
Because they were non-monetary articles, but they, they don't.
I
have an
understand
impact.
why he wanted to put his note,
Yeah.
when he's
So,
gonna read.
Being the moderator, I know he's trying to avoid that discussion
That question?
as much as possible in the session. So, which brings us to Article 13, the solar exemption, which I will bring up a comment the moderator shared also that you probably should discuss. So he made a comment saying we probably should have made a notation or something about the potential cost impact, tax impact this article could have. And when I went back and took a look at when we've done the veterans credit and the elderly exemption, we did make a note. And based on information we currently had, we made a note just to disclose what the potential tax impact would be. That would be, I figured that wasn't just adding a couple words, that was kind of a significant change. So if the board's interested in adding that note, and I think we should, that I would work with our legal counsel, make sure we get it prepared, and the board could enter it as an amendment to the article at deliberative.
I think we should. I mean, we worked hard.
I know the people, We know the number of properties that have solar systems now. We know the total assessment value. So we can disclose that based on numbers we have today, this is going to result in a loss of $23,000 of assessed or tax revenue.
Yeah. Well, we did work with the veterans group last year for their tax credit to have as part of it. So I think we should be consistent and add it.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks to Frank Byron for
Yes.
catching that.
Good catch by the moderator.
That's why he gets the big bucks.
So who would like to present the solar exemption?
Well, I'm the one that voted against it, so you probably don't want me to do it.
I recommend Bob.
You voted against it because you didn't like the cap,
100%.
right? Someone's asked me that. I couldn't.
Yeah, you wanted 100%.
You wanted 100%. That was the answer I gave. I just wanted to verify that.
He's not against it per se, he's against the amount.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You wanted 100% exemption. You didn't want a cap,
Right.
a maximum.
Would you like to present one?
As long as I can touch base with you on the details and the history of this.
Oh, sure.
yes.
Of course.
Sure.
Welcome
Thank
aboard
you.
now, Kim.
No, that's fine.
Welcome aboard.
We all have one, so that's good.
We should have given her the property reevaluation one.
Now I would have made friends.
All right, good. And you'll have the slide deck done a few days in advance, Troy, so we can all bounce it back and forth.
Appreciate it.
And we'll have, supporting members to answer questions if there are any questions.
And making them bold again.
Yes. Since we had actually should it, being that it's 7:50, I'd like to open it up for public input. Do we have any members of the public that would like to provide input this evening?
Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any members of the public attending.
Thank you, Mr. Brunel. Hearing none, we will
Mr. Chair.
close public input.
Is it possible, this is Ben Sargent, if I could speak?
Of course.
And I apologize, and I will keep it swift. I just wanted to, first and foremost, thank you for your support as we continue to pursue grants that are going to allow us to align us with our mission statement to diligently be prepared and offer the highest level of professionalism of service. We're thinking ahead. Captain Scotty and I really want to take advantage of how to give our officers the best resources, the best product to give you the best service. And that's through grants. And when these things come up, we need to take advantage of them. So I just wanted to highlight, we are constantly reviewing how we can help eliminate the burden on the taxpayers. And your support, your consideration of our ideas and how to move us forward, it really helps us. And I'm very thankful for Captain Scotty's presentation tonight. I thought he did a great job. It's really exciting to see a new board member come on board. And Ms. Queenan, I would like to thank you for your service and commitment to the town and for everything we've heard tonight. And I'm going to go back to Team Litchfield. It's an honor to work with you. Thank you for your support. I hope we can succeed in this grant. But if we don't, it's a learning process, and we're going to try it again. And we're going to make sure that your police officers. The other real quick thing I wanted to highlight too is we've had what a great opportunity to work with the fire department, the highway department, all the other departments through COVID-19. And we're training with our fire department through a grant, totally funded through a grant this Saturday to make sure that we're better prepared to serve our residents. And I know this is I wish I could have probably jumped in and said this, back after the presentation, but I just want to let you know that we take this very serious. We have a very great team, and I'm very proud of the work that Captain Scotty has done preparing this grant, to know that it's in line with our mission statement, our vision. And if we can succeed, we're going to be able to provide resources to our neighbors, but also make sure that in the event that something happens in Litchfield, we are prepared, professional, and ready to serve you with honor. we'll never forgetting community policing practices. So I just wanted to say that and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. We had no items removed from consent. Next is the administrator report. Mr. Brown.
All right, nothing big to report other than this is the time of the year that, start working on the deliberative slides, working on any of the legal notices that need to go out, working right now with the school town moderator. Going to be meeting tomorrow with school officials and the moderator at the high school gymnasium to do a walkthrough and start, identifying how we want to set everything up for deliberative. I mean, I know we've already done this once. It's summertime in the school, so we'll just go through it, talk it out, make sure we've got everything planned. Again, Moderator Byron just doing a fantastic job reaching out, communicating with everyone and being way ahead of the curve, making sure he's got all the details covered out. Citizens are in good hands with Moderator. So that's what I'm doing over the next couple of weeks. So,
Okay, thank you. Before we get into the Selectmen reports, Mr. Brown, did you get any update from legal counsel on the boards that Ms. Queenan sits on?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right, if you could follow up on that, that'd be great.
No, I was just trying to think. I did send that.
I know you
email,
sent
and
something. I wasn't sure if you hadn't
have
received
not
anything.
received the email back.
Okay.
I'll follow up on that tomorrow.
All right, Selectmen reports. Mr. Lascelles.
I don't have anything to report since our last meeting.
Okay, Ms. Queenan.
Well, I'm not sure my status, do we, something from the planning board or the Heritage Commission?
Yes, please, all of them. Then Kevin won't have to speak.
I'm not sure.
There is a dilemma going on right now. I'd like to bring it up with her being on the board now. Could she be on the planning board? And two, what's my position on that?
So that's the question.
That's the question I was
we
asking.
Sent to legal counsel, and I'm pretty confident that the answer is going to come back that the Board of Selectmen can only have one representative.
Narrowing that down to the right answer.
99.9% positive that's going to be the response. And
that was the only thing we mentioned the other day.
So who wants it?
I think I can almost narrow that down.
Well, we need someone for rec, and we need someone, Jack was on Heritage? No, Conservation. He was on Conservation.
Oh, they don't want me.
I nominate Kevin.
Kevin will take over Conservation? Kim, you'll continue with planning board first?
Is that what you want?
That'd be wonderful if you could.
Are you
That's
okay
fine
with
with
it?
I'm okay with it.
As long as you're not a yes person. Okay?
Well, plus it keeps all the knowledge you have right there, why they transition to a vice chair and
Yeah.
figure what they're gonna do. I think it's the best interest.
I've had
for the
some
town.
idea how it worked when I used to sit. I sat there and went, next. Kim used to go, hurry up.
I may need to talk to Troy though about Heritage Commission. I think I don't mind being the chairman, but taking the notes is very time consuming. Trying to be the chairman and the minutes, so I might need. We'll have a discussion on that later.
Recreation, no update. We have a meeting tomorrow evening. It's been quiet with nothing open.
How's
No
the
sports
pond
really
doing?
going on.
How's the pond? There a pond, the skate? Doing good?
Every so often, a couple people go out there and town people get upset and they don't think it's thick enough. But other than that, it's been very, very quiet from a rec standpoint.
Okay.
Mr. Larry?
Budget committee's done until next Saturday, the 6th, for deliberative. Finished up with everything in school last week and on the deliberative.
Then after that, there's nothing more till March, I guess.
Yes.
What I'm hearing.
Towns at 10 and schools at 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lynch, anything else to add?
Nope.
All right.
I was at the planning board meeting. Kim did a fine job.
There was no other business added to the agenda. We do have one item left this evening. It is a non-public session under RSA 91A:3 2B, employee hiring. We will only come out of non-public to adjourn the meeting or take any action that may have come up within the meeting. Do we have a motion to go into non-public, please?
So motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
Second.
second by Mr. Larry. Roll call. Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
All right.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. We are now going into non-public. Take care, everyone, and be well.
Good night.